Mental health. I say that and it's almost like someone around me holds their breath for a quick second because of the toxic stigma that surrounds that word. Nobody wants to talk about it, and especially not in the world of athletics. But the question to that is why?
It's scary to some people because it is scary. The thoughts that come along with a lot of mental health issues are scary. Athletes are strong in a different way. They might be physically strong. They also have a lot of mental toughness. You got to get through those practices, through those games, through those meets, through those competitions.
Most of the time, you don't even know that one is struggling because these individuals become experts at hiding their emotions.
Because look at Tyler Helinski. He's the quarterback from Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
You would have had no idea that he had mental illness. He was the very typical guy, right? Everything was going for him. He was coming off a really big freshman year in football. He was a phenom, and he killed himself.
And this is most commonly seen in the public eye in sports.
Athletes are very much so encouraged to stay positive and to put on a good face when it comes to not feeling in the mood or that kind of thing. They're very used to being able to pick it up and get stuff done. And with that said, however, that can leave, I think, athletes very run down and more susceptible to struggling with mental health.
Athletics in general, especially when you get to high performing levels, they cater to a really specific type of person.
Yeah,
and you'd be surprised at how many people suffer from anxiety and depression just simply because of the type of person athletics kind of brings in. Yeah.
People would say, well, it makes sense because you've got times and you have all that pressure, and it's true. And it's the thing about it is the higher you get, the more pressure there it is and the worse it is to try to deal with it, you know. You're more on the spotlight, and then oh my goodness, then you don't have a good race, or you don't have a good, usually I'll just say race and what's going on, and then, you know, it's just really hard to deal with that.
Based on what I see in certain sports, I think it's talked about more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I look at swimming world, right, and that's the world we lived in. I think they're doing a much better job there talking about it and trying to address it than other sports.
And I think part of it too is the culture of the team that you're a part of. If you make a welcoming environment for new athletes as well as athletes that are already on the team, it's a lot easier to talk about things that you might be struggling with. And that's not to say that specific sports are better or worse at creating that type of culture, but I just think in general, if you have leaders that are maybe have experienced that before, or understand, or are more empathetic towards people who are suffering from mental health issues, it's easier to talk about that.
On Monday, September 7, 2020, just shy of his 20th birthday, our community lost an incredibly strong individual, and his name was Ian Misguelli. Ian was a very accomplished swimmer with state titles and national championships and Olympic trial qualifying times. He grew up attending Black River Public School, then transferring to Holland Christian his senior year so he could compete with their swim team. From there on, he went to compete at the University of Michigan, where he would swim at a highly respected school.
Growing up, I knew Ian since I was about 6 years old. We swam on the same swim team for about 10 or 11 years until he went off to college. It was always fun to swim with Ian, especially in his lane, because it would always be something that was fun. It wouldn't be something ever that I would be worried about swimming practice. I would always be excited to swim with him because I know how hard of a worker he was. He was so nice to everyone, and that's something I'll never forget. He would always be cheering people on at swim meets. He would never not be there. We miss him and we love him, and he was an amazing friend and family member.
I liked him to remember as being kind, that he was able to talk about this and that he was in a big program and he was able to talk about it, and he brought it up, and he brought awareness, and and even in this community people don't talk about anything really.
I like to think that he was a warrior. He battled this every day for 9 years, and he got out of bed every day, and he went to practice every day, and he went to class every day, and he tried every day to get through that day.
He worked really hard. He, yes, was a talented swimmer, but it was more than that. It was, working hard and researching and not missing practice and doing whatever he could all the time to try to get better and be better. I don't really know how he was able to work his body so hard and work so hard at school when he was
Feeling the
I
way
can't
he
imagine
was.
that.
And that's what a warrior does. He battles to the end. He battled to the end.
I definitely think that when an athlete chooses to show emotion, a coach needs to be accepting and understanding of what that person may be going through. I mean, it's hard in itself to express that emotion when you're told to bottle it up for so long, and then the second that you do express it and you do show it in front of your teammates or in front of your coaches or out in the public eye, I mean, that's a big wall to be knocked down.
The hardest and most common thing with a lot of people that they encounter is friends and family not taking mental health seriously and it being something that is kind of spoken of lightheartedly.
A lot of it's, go talk to a counselor. Oh, they're talking to a counselor. It'll be fine.
Oh, yeah,
You
we
can't-
check.
Yes, and then how come you're not doing any better? You're talking to a counselor.
Yeah.
Like, what?
It needs
Yeah.
to be ingrained in the culture of
Yeah.
the program. You almost need the next step and say, okay, I recognize you've got depression, anxiety, you're struggling with this. Come on, there's this support group.
I think that coaches need to do a much better job of understanding where the athlete is coming from and not just telling them to go figure it out. Because I guess in the situation, most people don't know what's happening to them if they haven't gone and got help. So to tell somebody to figure out and they don't even know what's going on is very unreasonable, and it's almost impossible to go figure out on your own because to begin with, you don't even know what's happening.
And it should be something that coaches are being trained on. It should be something that assistant coaches, it should be something that the kids are being educated on, being trained on. How can they help and support their teammates? It's also something that parents need to be talked to about, and they need to be enlightened. That's where I think a big motivator of anxiety and stress surrounding sports can come from family, it can come from parents. They need to know how they can be supporting their kids and encouraging them, but not to a level it's going to cause them stress, anxiety, depression.
We need more willingness to help and ability. You can't just say, yeah, we'll get you some help and then leave it all on the athlete. There's got to be a system in place.
Yeah, I completely agree. And so I think that programs, especially at the collegiate level, need to start paying attention to it and making it a priority. I hope this made you think a little bit about the struggles athletes are going through behind the scenes. You're not alone in what you may be feeling. Fortunately, we're at a point in society where it is time to make a change, and you can be a part of it. This is a conversation that needs to be had, and it's okay to have mental struggles or emotions that make it so hard to get up in the morning. But let's normalize talking about it, because once again, you're not alone. I promise you, your best